Hello and welcome to the Keep It Local Maine podcast, where we tell the stories of local business owners and Maine residents and learn more about what they do, who and what inspires them, their challenges, successes, and more. My name is Todd Regalinski.
And I am Kimberly Regalinski.
And we are the publishers of Keep It Local Maine, a local magazine that helps showcase local businesses to the people in and around their communities. Thank you for tuning in to our weekly podcast that you can subscribe to on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can learn more about us at keepitlocalmaine.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through the links in the show notes.
This episode is sponsored by Fabian Oil, a family-owned and operated business that offers heating oil and propane delivery, services, and repairs. Fabian has been serving central and northern Maine with propane and oil for over 30 years. As a local Maine business, they cherish the relationships they have formed by serving the people of their communities. In 2019, Fabian entered the southern Maine region with a heating oil acquisition, and they have recently brought propane to the market. They are aggressive and would love to be your supplier. Give them a call at 207-793-2044 or visit fabianoil.com.
In this episode, we'll be talking with Ken Bell, the owner of Portland House of Music and Events. Ken has been part of local music in Portland for well over 12 years, providing a stage for hundreds of Maine musicians as well as national touring artists. After being shut down for most of the last year, he is set to open the doors once again this July with a packed schedule of shows.
Welcome to the show, Ken. We are so glad that you're here with us today. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. You guys have been so supportive for so many years. I'm really happy to be here.
This is awesome. I'm
Yes,
so
indeed.
excited to talk about music. So you tell us, you've been part of the live music in Portland for quite a while. How did you first get involved in that?
I had a really good friend growing up named Dan Gurney, who was a Twisted Roots fan way before I knew who they were. And he brought me to see them in a Bradley's parking lot in Lewiston, Maine when I was 19. And I fell in love. I just thought, I still love Twisted Roots. I actually just got some new music from Adam and Pete about couple weeks ago. It's totally a different direction, but I still love it just as much. And I just kind of grew from there. I was just a fanboy. And I got into the restaurant business, running restaurants. And then someone called me up and said, "Hey, man, let's buy the Big Easy." So we went down that road, and it was kind of like a dream come true as far as getting to work with a passion I'd already had for years.
Wow.
Now, I just have to say, that is one of the most local music things I think I've ever heard. Like, oh, I went to see this band at a Bradley's parking lot.
That is Maine.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. Oh, man.
You know what the sad part is I have told Twisted Roots that story probably 10 times, and they're like, "Yeah, Ken, you've told us," and it was really cool the first few times. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I do the same thing, actually. And usually Kim's the one looking at me like, "Are you serious? You're going to tell me this story again, huh?" Yeah, I have to practice.
Yeah.
I just have to practice to make sure I don't forget. So you had the Big Easy. And then the funny thing is, even before you started Portland House of Music, I remember there was a brief little cup of coffee where you were actually helping out at one Longfellow Square too. So I mean, even when you didn't even have your own venue going at the time, you still couldn't get that far away from local music, which I thought was really cool when I spotted you there one night.
No, man, when I lost the Big Easy, I went to Friendly's, which was an absolute nightmare for me. It's just not who I am. They didn't sell booze. They didn't have live music. It was a bunch of kids, and it was tough. And my wife's like, "You're miserable. Please quit." And I was like, "I love you." So I quit. And luckily, Derek Lombardi was booking Longfellow at the time, and he hit me up. He's like, "Yo, man, we need a bar manager. You interested?" I said, "That sounds great." So I just went over there, and I was only a bar manager. You know, I sat in on some of the management meetings, but I really wasn't much of a manager. I was just kind of there to attend the bar and try to organize that for them. And luckily, I was very honest with them. I said, "Listen, I'm looking to do my own thing." And they said, "No, that's great. We'd love to have you here while you can. And we'll support you until your time to go." And I said, "It's fantastic." It was a great experience. And I love that venue. I really do.
Yeah, it is a really cool place.
It really is.
Just to see a show, and also, from my experience, to play a show there too. It is a very unique room, which is also kind of ties into your venue, because Portland House of Music is pretty unique. Yeah. So what was the process for starting that, for, the idea and the execution of it? How did all that come together?
I never wanted to be out of the music business. That was something that was out of my control, unfortunately. And I knew I wanted to get back in. I knew I wanted to call it Portland House of Music and Events and Home as an acronym since from day one, because a lot of musicians used to call the Big Easy Home. So I knew I wanted to do it. And it was, how am I going to get there? And when I was working at Friendly's, I just knew that I was spinning my tires and I wasn't moving in the direction I wanted to go. And luckily, my wife was like, just quit. And I actually called her the next day and said, I'm really going to do it like right now. She's like, then why are you talking to me? Go do it. And I did. And I've never walked out of a job in my life, but I did that day and it felt amazing. We were broke. My wife's like, we'll figure it out. And I'm so grateful that she was supportive. And at that time, Maddie Moran from Slab had hired me to book the outdoor place in Slab for that summer. So we went there to have a drink. And literally the same day that I had quit, we went to Slab for a drink and then walked. We were going to walk down to another bar downtown, and we walked by the old Minance Flower Shop, which is now PHOME. And there was a for lease sign in the window. And it was like, my wife's like, I told you to quit. This is why. So we actually called that day. My realtor, Mike Anderson, a friend of mine I had known for a little while at that time. And he's like, let's get started. And we started to work on the lease, which was almost a full year process, which was good because I had no money. And we figured it out from there.
That is amazing. I had goosebumps.
Yeah.
That's so cool when things kind of line up like that.
Yeah. We were so many things fell into place. We're so fortunate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's such a great room. I mean, it's such a great and interesting space, because that was one of the things I did like about the Big Easy was, and I know it's like, that was like Big Easy version 2 that I was familiar with. There was one before that, I believe, at another space or something. But I just remember it was so interesting going to the Big Easy, and you had you go in, you kind of had the little doorway, and then you go in, you walk down the ramp, and you walked in, and you're like looking at the side of the stage, so you're looking in at what's happening from kind of a vantage point you never really saw, and then you kind of get in and see the front of the stage. And Portland House of Music again has a bit of that kind of like, wow, this is a different sort of room than what I'm used to going to. With kind of that mezzanine area and just how everything is set up. It's just a really cool space. I mean, I imagine a lot of that was dictated by what the room looked like when you got it.
Yeah, no doubt. As far as Big Easy, that was truly lipstick on a pig. That the musicians themselves made that room. They truly did. I sanded down all the wood and restained it and put some paint up, and some graffiti guys put up. Mike Rich and Jared put up some work in the corner. But the bathrooms were so bad. I mean, I literally painted the grout white because I couldn't get it clean. With a little tiny paintbrush, I wanted to make it look better.
Oh my gosh.
To sit on that floor was something that I'm probably still suffering from today. But it was just the Big Easy was really just a dirty, dirty club that was made special because the cats that played there. It really was.
Yeah.
And then you get to PHOME, and it's I really wanted to make it something that I could give back to the musicians and give them a nice green room, give them some real quality production. And luckily we were able to do that. And that's why I feel those two rooms are so different, that, the Big Easy could have happened in any, can I swear on this? Any hole that I've seen. Because I got to be honest, the building itself and what was there at the time was just really beat up and run down and held together with bubble gum and paper clips. And to be able to take a blank canvas like Portland House of Music and really build it to what we wanted to give back to musicians. And honestly, that came from a village of people. Frank Hopkins was there from day one. Jack Murray was there from day one. They were just in the rafters. Blaine did a lot of my metal work there from day one, working hard. There were so many people that really, the guys from American Roots, my buddy Ben Waxman, he showed up with 12 people on paint day and busted out painting the whole place. My buddy Aaron Cloutier spent the night there painting by himself one night when I had been there for 20 hours. He's like, go home. I'll take care from here. And he was in there painting. It really was a village. Jimmy Junkins came in and sanded and restained the church pews. It takes a village, and it's really what built it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, those church pews are awesome. Every time I've been there, I just look at those and I'm like, that is such a cool idea.
Yeah.
That comes from being cheap.
Well, I also look at them and go, I'm glad I don't have to move those because those look like they weigh a ton.
Yeah.
They do weigh a ton. We got those out of a church in Lewiston. We were on an extremely tight budget. Real quick story. When I worked for Margaritas when I was like 23, I had a manager named Tom, who we stayed in touch for a long time, Tommy Verrill. And we hang out every couple times a year. And he went into doing contracting. So we had a really, really small budget on this. Actually, to be totally candid, I went to like 11 banks and no one would give me the funding I needed. Wow. Finally, at the 11th bank, I got a certain amount of money, but it wasn't enough. That got me to reach out to my business partner, Jamie Isaacson, who's been a great partner. I called him up and said, hey, I need money to open a club. And he said, yes. He didn't even hesitate. It was so awesome. I'm so fortunate. It's been a great partnership. But anyway, after we got the finances figured out, I called up my buddy Tom and he's like, what's your budget? And I told him and he hung up. And I was like, he called me back like 10 minutes later. He's like, listen, show up with your work boots on Monday. I'll be there with 2 guys. And literally it was him, his 2 buddies, and me in there every day. I mean, I literally hauled in 2 tons of concrete on my own to pour the floors.
Oh my gosh.
It's really just labor of love is real.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it kind of special to go there and to play there. And it's why I think everybody just enjoys that venue, you know, because you can tell there's been a lot of care and a lot of sweat put into that place.
For sure.
I appreciate that because that's really what it is.
So what is your favorite part of owning a music venue? If you had to say, like, what are some of those things that just drive you?
I have a really large liquor cabinet. Until COVID, I never ran out. When COVID happened, we ran out of a few things. Honestly, I love sound check. That's my favorite time because then I can just sit back and enjoy the music and watch artists be artists. Once the doors open, I am a safety officer. It's my job to make sure people are taking care of themselves, taking care of each other, and not having issues. Luckily, in 15 years of owning venues, we've had 7 fights in 15 years, and I'm really proud of that. That's one every couple of years. Any liquor serving establishment, I'm sure, is dealing with more than those numbers. So that means a lot to me. And sound check is when I don't have to worry about any of that. I can just sit back and enjoy the show and watch geniuses be geniuses. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing, another thing. I don't want to turn this is like a Ken Bell love fest, but having played a couple shows that were not really my shows, just being kind of on the side of it, and seeing you come up and just talking to everybody, and the smile on your face, like in the green room, just talking to musicians, you can just tell that you are enjoying what you do so much, and it translates, like I said before, into everything that goes around that place, man.
Well, I appreciate that. And I do love talking to musicians. I have zero talent whatsoever. So to get to know these people that can go up there and like with the flip of a switch, just become amazing entertainers is something I'm always going to admire. But as far as that smile, it's getting harder to do after 25 years in the hospitality business. But I do still love the music end of it. And just getting to see Gina at Portland Lobster Company coming out of this pandemic was a pretty emotional moment. Watching them rehearse in there for the first time this past Monday was just like, it was like a feeling I can't even describe. Like I've just never had a feeling like that. And it's just, I don't know. It felt like it was gone for a while, but to feel it coming back really reinvigorates you to really realize how lucky I am to be able to do what I do.
Yeah. Now, of course, over all those years, I'm sure that you've accumulated, much like the Bradley's parking lot story, some great memories. And what are some of those favorite memories that you have from either the Big Easy or P-Home or just your time in kind of local music?
Man, there are so many. I think one thing that I've always enjoyed is getting to know the musicians outside of stage. It's really cool to have some famous person come through, and I've met quite a few famous people over the years, and I always think that's really nice. I've met some really, really great people. But you know what? When it's the end of the night and it's been busy and you're settling up with a band and they're getting a big chunk of money and my bar just did well, and I'm like, you know what? Christmas is coming and I really needed that. And my staff just made X amount of dollars and the band's really getting a good payday. I really enjoy that aspect because I just did that with people who I know their families. I know this guy needs the money because he needs snow tires for his car. My dog was sick this week, and me and my buddies just made money together to take care of my dog. Like, I love that feeling of working with friends. I just think that we all have to work. That's life. But if you're working with people you truly care about, it's priceless.
That is that. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then there's getting and I'm probably going to get this story wrong, but if I remember right, getting mayonnaise packets for O'Teal.
Yeah, we've had all kinds of those quirky stories where, everyone's got their own preference on riders. We've had some artists come through, and I don't want to name names or get people in trouble or get myself in trouble, but we've had some people with some really organic, healthy on the road food. And we've had people come through that are just, I don't know how they get back in a van after eating all that stuff, but it's just the riders is an interesting aspect of our business, to say the least.
I just thought that was great because that's such like a DIY. Like I got to go get like 20 mayo packets for this artist.
He ate a lot of mayonnaise. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, and you know what? Hey, maybe that's what keeps him going.
Oh, wow. Fueled
by mayo, I guess.
So, the question I have is, a lot of venues have closed over the last year. How did you guys manage to weather the storm and really get back to hosting shows?
We are so fortunate. Tom Fonts, he actually did the writing of it. He actually launched it online and collaborated with some other musicians to do it. Told me he was going to do it for 3 months before I said, let's do it. I had no choice. They launched a GoFundMe for me, and that was absolutely a game changer. I mean, it didn't cover all of my bills or even come close, but it helped. And then Mark Curto called me up from Aura. They were hit up from a cycling studio, Jibe. They wanted to use the space because they couldn't have enough bikes in their smaller studio because of the distance guidelines. So Joanna from Jibe hit me up, and she's like, because Curto recommended they couldn't do it at Aura, you can do it over Try Calling Ken. So those two combined alleviated almost 50% of my debt, which was nice. I mean, it was a huge break. Luckily, my wife kept working through all that, and we just kind of buckled down. And those two things are the biggest keys. Without those, we wouldn't be here, because no matter what position someone's in, at some point you have to look at yourself and be like, we got to cut this cord and cut our losses at what they are, because we didn't know when we're coming out of this. I mean, as recently as March this year, we didn't know when we were coming out of this. So it was scary. That was the scariest part, is no one was projecting when it would be over. And there's no way to project that. So you can't blame anyone, but we would have cut our losses earlier if it weren't for those two things. I'll be honest. As much as I don't want to say that, that's the reality of it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. I mean, when you don't have the income, I mean, bills are still due. Everyone still needs their money. But yeah, I'm very glad that all worked out.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And it worked out from the support of that village. People wanted this venue around, and they showed it. And I'm very, very thankful.
So now that we are coming out of COVID and we are getting live music back, which is awesome, what are some of the things that are coming up this summer and fall at PHOME that people should know about? I mean, besides everything, they should be there every night of the week. Just even if there's no music, they should just show up just to make sure.
Just drop some money in the mailbox, please.
That's right.
Honestly, the two things I'm super stoked about, and we did change the pricing of it. We've done Monday and Wednesday residencies for years now, and they've been wildly successful. We're averaging over 200 people on Mondays and Wednesday nights. Honestly, much closer to 250 on some of those nights, which is, I think anyone would be happy to have those nights. And they've been $5 nights for years. And we finally said, you know what, we're going to increase those prices. So now they're outrageously expensive. They're $7 pre-sale and they're $10 day of show. So I think they're still the best deal in town on any night of the week, let alone on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I'm really excited for the musicians to be making more money. And those are just the two. And these are the cats that I've known. I mean, I've broken bread at my house with almost every one in those bands. And there's 16 people in those bands. And they're just all personal friends. And I'm so excited to just be rocking with them on Mondays and Wednesdays in a club that I hope, but it's always traditionally been really full on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I'm hoping that comes back. We've always had a great relationship with the State Theater. They've thrown us a couple shows, Lucy Dacus, I'm really excited about. Tickets are on sale for that now, and they're moving fast. That relationship there has been so great to have them bring us shows. And unfortunately, we lost Port City during the pandemic, so they're throwing us more shows right now, which is obviously fantastic. We love working with them. A lot of the local stuff's coming back. I'm really excited that Kyle Gervais is coming back with Grand Hotel. We're getting Dom Lavoie back on the stage. We got Cadaverette coming. Like, we have a really, really great mix of local, regional, and nationals. And that's what this room has been able to do. And I'm excited to be bringing it right back to where it was 2019.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now in the Monday residency is Gina and the Red Eye Flight Crew.
Yeah.
And that's funk, R&B, soul, all that good stuff. And then Wednesday is Maine Dead Project still?
It is. They are, there's a Grateful Dead cover band on every corner, but I don't think anyone does it like these guys. They're there, and the numbers show that. To bring out 200 plus every single Wednesday is crazy. And, their fans have just been clamoring for it. They really want these guys back. And I can't wait. I can't wait either. I don't even like the Grateful Dead, but these guys rock. They're really good at what they do. So I can't wait.
That's when you know the band is good. When you're like, I'm not even a huge fan of necessarily this genre, but man, these guys are really good.
Right? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's just so cool when that happens.
Well, I ran into that with I'd probably get hate email for this, but that's fine. But I have not ever traditionally been a huge Fleetwood Mac fan. But when they did the Fleetwood Mac shows, and I had a chance just to play on one song, but watching the show, I'm like, okay, now I actually really like these songs because it's people I know playing them, and it's like right there in front of me. Like, all right, I can deal with this.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when it's that good, it's freaking that good.
That good.
And that stupid debate of covers versus originals. Yeah, I'd love to promote someone's original music. Absolutely. I prefer that probably a little bit. But the bottom line is I want to see people I know and friends up there just doing amazing, just showing me some amazing talent and just crushing it, in whatever style they want to do it. And if it's well rehearsed, if they know the music and they execute it, that's a great show every time.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, you can just see that passion come through.
Yeah, that's the right word.
It makes all the difference. I mean, for sure. I mean, just amazing. That show was fantastic.
And that show will be getting announced later next week. But it's coming back for 2 nights once again. Our Novembers are almost a playback every year because they're such successful local shows.
Oh, that's awesome. I always like to ask this. We like to ask this because we always love to hear what people, how they define success. So how would you say you define success?
People I work with that night leave happy. It's that simple. If the bands are leaving my venue happy and my staff is leaving my venue happy, we all won. When the band's making money and my staff's making money, I'm making money. And I really believe if you focus on those first two things first, the third one happens. So.
True. Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is the music business, and that business means you got to make money, which I learned really hard this year. But unfortunately, I hate to focus on the money, but it's a big part of it, unfortunately.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, yeah, but that's
got to. I mean, that's how you pay the bills.
Yeah, and there's always ways to find that joy, kind of in the work. Of getting that, and that's find those moments when you're like, oh, this is really cool. This is just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it comes to a point you're like, wow, I actually get paid to do this.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely, and that can't get lost. And I still get excited when bands play at the club for the first time. I mean, it does have a lot of production. We get regional and national bands coming through saying like, you guys have a lot of production for a 300 cap room. Like, we're like, thanks, we appreciate that. That's what Frank put together for us. So we're very lucky. And I get excited when I see bands get excited. They really enjoy playing that. And it sounds good. It looks good. So that's exciting too.
Yeah, definitely. And another kind of pseudo-loaded question, but it's always very interesting for us to find out the answers is who or what inspires you, either personally or professionally or both?
You know what? I looked at the question just slipped me earlier, and I didn't see that one, but I see it now. Damn, I wish I thought about it more. That's a really great question. My wife definitely inspires me. It's been she watched me lose a venue, but she also was the first person to tell me to go open another one. She watched me go through COVID. First person to tell me go away on vacation somewhere because you need a break. You're stressing out. So she's been really inspiring. Again, going back to watching friends' success, I love that. I really, really do. One guy I've worked with thousands of shows at this point is Max Cantlin. And I love watching him play to a sold-out room because he is an amazing guitar player. And I love seeing him play for that crowd. And obviously, Lyle Davinsky's been a good friend for a long time. I love seeing him go on to bigger and better things. I love seeing success in my friends. I really that inspires me. It's tough because when someone really good moves away and you don't get to sell out that much more because they're no longer in town, it hurts financially, but it's so worth it, man. I just love seeing people succeed, and I think that's so important in life. That if you can encourage others to succeed, you will succeed yourself.
Yeah, true. And for any musicians out there listening, or anyone who has enjoyed a show at P-Home, you now owe Ken's wife like a bouquet, some chocolates, whatever it is that she likes. We all owe her some of that.
Yes,
Likes the house to herself. That's why she sends me away.
So the funny thing is, like a month or so ago, I was talking to Kim, and I was like, and I knew this was a loaded question. I knew it. So I approached it very, very subtly. I was like, I was actually thinking about, maybe starting a band. I was like, you really ought to. And I'm like, okay, she is sick of having me around the house. I'm surprised she wasn't like, you got to start 2 or 3. You ought to be out every night of the week.
Rehearse every night. Yes.
Yes. But somewhere else, not here.
Absolutely, for sure.
So I might be hitting up for a rental space during the day.
Let me know, man.
So, what's your favorite part of living in Maine? What would you say are some of the things you like about living in this state?
I love being close to the water. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think the ocean is a really beautiful thing to be part of. I love being so close to the mountains. I love being close to the woods in Maine. And I love our 3 months of good weather. I sure wish it was a lot more. I was in an Uber a few years back, and this gentleman who was driving it just moved here from Virginia, and he's like, I can't wait to get out of this state. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, someone, told me to move to Maine. The weather's beautiful. The weather's beautiful in the summer. He goes, you know what? Everywhere's f***ing beautiful in the summer. It's friggin' cold here 9 months a year.
Well, compared to Virginia, yeah. I mean, you step outside your house in Virginia, and I lived in Virginia for almost a year. You step outside and like Christmas, and you have a 50-50 chance of like just being soaked in sweat by the time you get from your door to the car.
I tell you what, man, I did a lot of snow removal when I owned the Big Easy. Other people don't know this, but I also had a side gig. I used to shovel and snow blow driveways in the winter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got up to quite a few there for a while, way more than I should have done, and my back's still paying for it. But I hate snow. It's not even a little bit of dislike. Like I use the word hate intentionally, and I have no desire for it in my life whatsoever. But unfortunately, we get a lot of it around here.
Mm-hmm.
You're that guy who's outside the first snowstorm, just shaking your fist at the clouds when it starts to come down.
Yes.
But the other 3 months are worth it, though.
Exactly. It's beautiful out there right now. I mean, I'll probably walk to work after this. Honestly, and I live across the bridge in South Portland. It's a nice 25-minute walk, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
Nice. Well, thank you, Ken, so much for taking time to talk with us. We appreciate you taking your time to talk with us, but we also appreciate what you've done for local musicians, for local music fans, and for how much you've put into what is the Portland music scene, and the blood, sweat, and tears that you've put into it is just amazing. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to share this stuff, and thank you for what you do. You guys are really supportive of the small business community in whole and supportive of me for years. So thank you very much. Great to catch up with you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, and be sure to go to
shows,
be sure to go to portlandhouseofmusic.com. That's where you can find you can get tickets for all the shows right there. You can do that right now. Just book up the rest of your year.
Get your tickets.
You can just put them right on the calendar, and then you're like, oh, I know what I'm doing every single Friday and Saturday night for the rest of the year. And that would be great, but you can also follow them on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'll put links to all of that in the show notes. And once again, Ken, thank you so much, and we wish you great success as you're reopening and with all the shows that are coming up.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you again to our sponsor, Fabian Oil. Be sure to contact them for all your propane and heating oil needs using the information in the show notes, and thank you for listening.